Beautiful skies above the high plains at high noon today, and we're 7,220 feet high above sea level. The Falcons and the Cowboys about to get it on here at War Memorial Stadium. And how about these Falcons of 2010, 2-1? They come into Laramie today, fresh off the heels of a near shocker in Norman, the Sooners last week. A 1-2 start for Dave Christensen, struggling to find out what kind of team he has here in 2010. Well, greetings, everybody. So glad you're with us today. Along with Todd Christensen, I'm James Bates. A 1-2 start for Wyoming. Two top 5 teams. They don't get a top 5 team today, but the number 1 team in the nation when it comes to rushing.
And the Air Force has done an outstanding job with a multiple of formations and a number of versatile backs. That's the reason why they've been so effective statistically, as well as you point out, James, just being 4 points from being undefeated. You see the numbers, leading the nation rushing nearly 400 yards per game. But it's a number of people. You saw Warzika, now you see Jefferson. Their leading rusher is actually Asher Clark to go with their fullback 2s. They have been terrific. On the other side, it's kind of a one-man band for Wyoming and Austin Carter-Samuels, who has improved himself markedly over his freshman year, throwing for well over 210 yards per game and a 70% completion percentage. But James, for them to be successful today, they're going to have to find the requisite balance and do a little running of their own.
You think so? Up against the number 1 team running the ball, and when it comes to running for Wyoming, under 1 yard average per carry. Little fun in the sun, hopefully, for the Poke fans here at high noon. College football is brought to you by your Wyoming Toyota dealer. Toyota, moving forward. By Fleer, extraordinary vision. By Wendy's, serving anything but fresh food isn't a legal procedure. At Wendy's, you know when it's real. By Live the West, sports capital of Wyoming. And by Old Chicago Restaurants. Eat, drink, and be yourself. The Falcons and the Pokes. High noon showdown when we come back. Kickoff is next. Troy Calhoun and his 2010 Air Force Falcons, perhaps one of the best units to ever come out of the Springs. But today they had to take on Dave Christensen and his Wyoming Cowboys on the high plains of Laramie. Whenever these two teams get together, you can expect one heck of a dogfight. The Falcons and the Pokes next on the mountain. Mountain College Football is brought to you by Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge, grab life. By Domino's, who wants everyone to try their inspired pizzas. Get 2 medium, 2 topping pizzas for just $5.99 each. By First Interstate Bank, neighbors helping neighbors in the place we call home. By Jeep, the most award-winning brand of 4x4s ever. Check out the entire lineup at Jeep.com. And by The Office Shop, providing the best office equipment and the best service to Wyoming businesses for the past 40 years. And down on the turf at Jonah Field, you're in good hands today. The mayor of Laramie, Wyoming. Well, unofficially, Andy Lloyd joins us. Andy?
Hey guys, a lot of optimism around this Air Force team this year, growing in confidence, and because they scored 65 points in their first outing, humbled the powerhouse BYU from the Mountain West Conference, went toe-to-toe with Oklahoma. You can understand why their confidence has been growing. Talked to Troy Calhoun before the game. He simply said with quiet confidence, we're ready to go, we just need to take care of business.
Thank you, Andrea. Our keys to the game today brought to you by Ram. Award-winning Ram trucks plus a new heavy-duty make it one of the most powerful lineups in Ram history.
Well, it may surprise you a little bit in terms of some of the keys to the game. Air Force is simple, rush to judgment, continue to run for 400 yards per game. Austin Carter-Samuels, they're hoping for Act 2. His first start last year was against this team, and they only generated 174 yards in total offense. As for Wyoming, they need to run scared. They need to run the ball. They've been ineffective in doing that the first 3 games. They have to have some balance today. You know the old Chicago song, does anybody really know what time it is? Well, we're going to find out in a hurry because Air Force is dominant in time of possession. Wyoming has to keep their offense on the field.
A 3-point loss for the Falcons in Norman. An impressive performance against the top 10 team, the Oklahoma Sooners last week, and 2 top 5 teams. Back-to-back big losses for Wyoming. Dave Christensen said, we have no idea what kind of team we have. Well, your big rivals in town, opener in the Mountain West Conference play, we're about to find out here in Laramie. Ghali Muhammad, 1 foot in the end zone, and here he comes. And the 24-yard line, where Austin Carter-Samuels, as we bring you our quarterback introductions, brought to you by First Interstate Bank. Neighbors helping neighbors in the place we call home. ACS, Austin Carter Samuels, last year as a freshman, almost single-handedly carried this football team to a bowl game in year 1 of Dave Christensen's tenure here at the University of Wyoming. Struggling a little bit, as you mentioned off the top, coming out of the gate here in 2010 against some stingy defenses.
Two of the best in the nation, obviously, in Boise State and Texas. But despite that fact, James, he's still putting up some significant numbers, most notably 70% in completion percentage.
And first play from scrimmage, the inside give, and the pile will push forward for about 4 yards. Zach Payne there defensively to stiffen as Alexander takes the carry, the sophomore. Well, that's a plus anyway, Todd. Under 1 yard per carry, 0.9 to be exact yards per carry for this Wyoming football team. And obviously a lot of those, the big reason is the plays going backwards, the sacks and whatnot. Here's 2nd down and 5, and a play action pass, or a handoff rather. Carrying out the fake is Samuels, and carrying the ball for a 1st down is Al. Starting lineups brought to you by your Wyoming Toyota dealer. Toyota moving forward. Nick Carlson, just a sophomore, but they expect him to be the leader of an offensive line that has struggled up front. We can expect to see some fullbacks and tight ends in there as well today. Bolger has been very special, and David Leonard had an outstanding junior year. Now Alvester Alexander, one of the speediest guys in the conference. And again, they go to 32, a big hole for Al. Alexander across the 50, across the 40, and down at the 30-yard line of Air Force.
When we visited with Dave Christensen, he mentioned that they were going to be committed to the run. Take a close look at the splits of the offensive linemen. They're going to be very narrow. And what they want to do is they want to attack. And take a look at Alexander as he cuts through the hole provided by the center and right guard. Carlson just had a terrific block. He's able to prevent himself from the look at how narrow they are right here. You can see that the splits are such. Normally you can see on the other end Air Force with very wide splits, but Wyoming with narrow ones, and up to this point has been effective.
Kankalongo, the backup to Alexander after 3 straight carries, and not much there for him. There's Namie Kankalongo, the freshman from British Columbia, and Dave Christensen over on the sideline.
At home, you might ask the question, what's the deal with the splits? What's the difference? If your splits are a little bit narrow, obviously somebody can come off the edge a little bit better, but what you do is you cover less ground in space. Well, some of the inexperience of the offensive linemen, that's what they want to do here.
This time, Carter Samuels to pass. He dumps one out there, and a great job coverage-wise by the safety, John Davis. That pass batted away by Davis, just a junior. Our Wendy's starting lineups today for the Air Force Falcons, serving anything but fresh food, and it's an illegal procedure at Wendy's. You know when it's real, and this is a defense that has really stepped up, replacing a lot of guys, 6 to be exact. AMAC has been strong from the linebacker spot, and one of the best secondaries perhaps in the country. The Oklahoma Sooners respected it enough last week to not even try them deep. Everything dink and dunk underneath. How does that secondary step up on 3rd and long? A quarterback run, Carter Samuels doing what he does best, and it's good enough for a 1st down.
This is an excellent call on the part of Marcus Arroyo, offensive coordinator. The thinking being is that you've got a terrific runner in your quarterback. Once again, there's the narrow splits, but here's the deal. If for whatever reason he's not going to get it, he's still going to get about 5 or 6 yards and make a field goal more palatable. But look what happens. He gets clobbered from the backside, and in getting hit from the backside, they push him forward for the 1st down.
Kankalongo again, or Alexander rather, back into the ball game. And it's the sophomore who has another 1st down for the Pokes, now inside the 10-yard line. Anthony Wright Jr. on the stop.
Wait a minute, I'm a little bit confused. Are we watching Wyoming or Air Force's offense? A little misdirection here, a Statue of Liberty going the other direction. Very creative on the part of ACS to get the ball to Alexander going in another direction, and clearly the Air Force defense was fooled.
The red zone brought to you by Fleer, the extraordinary vision of Fleer. Our Fleer red zone all day long, and first stab at it, these Wyoming Cowboys. And how about this stab, charging hard, the safety, John Davis, who broke up a pass a couple plays earlier with the tackle for loss.
Well, John Davis was completely unfooled on this play. You can see he comes up from his safety position. Now he has less to carry. I think part of the issue there is that there was no misdirection. Everybody's going in the same direction once the ball is handed off. The receiver, in this case McNeil, just had no chance.
Cowboys go the wrong way, 4 yards, so it's second down and goal from the 14-yard line. There's McNeil, will set up shop next to Carter Samuels. And the play pass. Fires one high, and it's picked off! Intercepted by John Davis. Here comes Davis. And the Falcons bend and stiffen when it matters the most. A pickoff in the paint.
And this has to be frustrating if you're ACS. Look at this, it's all on him. Plenty of protection, he just threw the ball too hard. Davis shows excellent hands in the back of the end zone, picking that ball off. And if you're the Wyoming Cowboys, you have to be nothing but frustrated. You drive down the field so effectively running the ball. And Samuels, he certainly would like to have that ball back.
Well, let's meet Tim Jefferson, one of the best in the land, thanks to First Interstate Bank. Neighbors helping neighbors in the place we call home. And did you say effective, Todd? That's just what this offense has been for the Falcons. Give goes to Jared Two, one of the top rushers in the Mountain West Conference, the fullback from Park City, Utah. Todd, you said it. How big for this crowd here at War Memorial Stadium and for this football team to come charging out of the gate, drive it right down the throats of a good Falcon defense, only to give it up. Now it's up to this bounty hunter defense to get the ball back. Good pitch by Jefferson, and here comes Asher Clark. It will be enough for a first down. They needed one and got about 5. The chains will move. Brian Hendricks with his first stop of the day. He had 23 last year against the Falcons.
Well, I have to tell you, the thing that's particularly impressive, how many times do you watch a football game and you'll see at least once, maybe twice a game, a defensive back will have a ball go through his hands in an interception. That was a great catch in the back of the end zone. You don't see that often from defensive backs and safeties, but give Davis credit. He hung on to it.
All on the ground, picking it up and going right down with it is Jefferson. Gabe Napton, linebacker last year, now lining up at the defensive end spot. Here's your lineup for those Air Force Falcons. Up front, probably the biggest surprise of this football team, Wallerstein leads the big dogs. Kevin Fogler was not supposed to play with a concussion, but he is out there today. Asher Clark and Jared Two, two of the top rushers in the Mountain West Conference. So even with the arm of Jefferson, not what you want to do with this Air Force offense. It's second down and 14. They go to the air, and here goes Hunter. Mikhail Hunter is bottled up after a gain of about 8 by Hendricks and Shamil Gary.
Late flag comes in on the play, James.
Personal foul, illegal block below the waist. Number 82 on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Second down.
That's Chaz Demarath as we take a look at our Wyoming defense. Thanks to the Wyoming Toyota dealers. Bazoons and Napton both were linebackers last year. Now in this new 4-3 scheme of Marty English, they'll play at the defensive end spots. Devin Harris earning his start, his first as a Wyoming Cowboy today. The brothers Gibson at the corners, and Przinski and Gary, very good safeties, and they will be active playing the 2 high safety spots today. There's big Gabe Napton. You saw the beard that he's been growing for who knows how long. The shaggy look and trying to shag down Tim Jefferson, not an easy thing to do. On second down and 23, back to the original line of scrimmage goes Jefferson, the junior from Atlanta.
Excellent call, however, by the offensive coordinator. I mean, what is your play for 2nd and 23? I mean, come on. But he got back 13 of it on that run, and as Wyoming obviously anticipated pass, and now 3rd and 10, makeable for this Air Force group.
Halderman and Hunter at the bottom of your screen. It's Asher Clark in the backfield with Jefferson as Polk fans make some noise on 3rd and long. Not gonna get there. Stopped by Devin Harris, the freshman linebacker, and Josh Bazoons.
Bazoons does a great job of getting off his blocking, making the play. It looked for a brief moment like Jefferson had enough of an opening to get to the 1st down.
4th and 3, and the Falcons line up to go. Why not? Perfect so far in 2010.
Kick. What a great play. I was just going to ask you if Jefferson could pooch punt. I was just going to seriously.
Don't ask me.
I was just going to ask you. It
number
didn't
7.
make any sense. 4-yard line. What a terrific directional punt by the QB.
Troy Calhoun over on the Falcons sidelines. He's 3-0 against these Wyoming Cowboys, but has not beaten Navy. And guess what, Mountain West fans? Your college football action live on Versus next Saturday. You get that matchup at high noon down in Colorado Springs as Navy comes to town for a battle for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. And then it's BYU and TCU on October 16th at 1:30 Mountain. All on Versus. We know the Mountain West. And after the 46-yard pooch kick by Tim Jefferson, the quarterback, starting deep in their own territory, and guys fighting for the ball, no signal yet after that first carry. And it will be whistled dead, and it looks to be Wyoming ball and 2nd down. Andre Morris Jr. popped up and thought he had it taught. We've seen a lot of ugly rugby kicks from punters this year, but that one by a quarterback was pretty as we take a look at the Alexander carry and fumble, yes.
He was lucky that bounced back to him and he was able to fight and get the ball. That was, you know what, you're right. We've seen some really ugly ones simply because of the fact that in so many cases they don't have any height. But with no returner back there, you're able to get the bounce. And what an amazing kick by Jefferson.
Alexander again, loss of a yard. 3 Falcons there waiting on him. First one in was Bradley Connor, the backup defensive tackle.
The problem, of course, down here, if you're Wyoming, you don't want to take any chances. But in not taking any chances and not being able to procure a 1st down, you're going to give Air Force outstanding field position. Although we should mention here, though, at 3rd and about 8.5, they do have one of the top punters in the country in Austin McCoy, averaging over 48 yards a boot.
Studnicka, Bryson Studnicka in there at the wing position. As the handoff, they try to stretch it to McNeil. Nothing doing, though. Waiting on him was Zach Payne, the defensive end. And it's 3 and out after the outstanding punt and play call for the Falcons. They'll get the ball right back in their offense's hands.
Well, again, one of the things that it appeared to me that they were doing is that they didn't bunch themselves up. They spread out a little bit. Coach Wallerstedt got together with his troops and said, listen, he said, we're getting caught in areas that we don't need to get caught into. Everybody maintained their lanes in that particular series, and as a result, it's a 3 and out.
And McCoy, a low end over end, and it.
What did we just say? We were just talking about that.
Well, there's the bad, and here's the good on 4th down. The quick kick from the junior Jefferson, 46 yards, and a 3 and out for the Polk offense. The Falcons are in business when we come back. How about that? The cat in the hat. Wonder if he brought his old moss-covered 3-handled family Gridunza. 0-0 here, and let's take a look around the rest of the Mountain West Conference thanks to RE/MAX. The sign you want, the agent you need. TCU, slow early, but putting it on late went over SMU last night, 41-24. The only Friday game, and everybody else about to get going. BYU taking on Colin Kaepernick and the Nevada Wolfpack later today. Second drive of the day for the Falcons. The give is to Jared 2, and he'll get a couple.
Well, Austin McCoy, the hope was to bail him out, but he was in a big hurry. And one of the things that traditionally, James, as I watched football through the years, when you got somebody pinned back there on their goal line, you don't go after a block. You know, you set up a return because those guys have to be bunched up. He hurried it like it was going to be a block, and the result is terrific field position for the Cadets.
Warzika in motion, the give to Asher Clark. And bodies banging, and there you see that offensive line that they had to replace every single guy up front. And Troy Calhoun said, you know what, about midway through the season, they may be one of the best. Folks are talking now, hey, this offensive line unit has gotten there a lot faster than we expected.
And as opposed to the last series, this is more like Air Force football. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1.5.
They need 2. Here on the 32 of Wyoming. Jefferson will change. 2 communicates it with Warzika and Clark. And here's the dive to the big bruiser fullback. And 2 has a first down for the Pokes. It's tackle number 3 for Brian Hendricks.
You know, James, before the game started, you were talking to me about the Oklahoma conditioning coach, who was a friend of yours, saying that the thing that caught his attention was speed. The quickness to where they take off those 3 guys. How many times do you see that backfield where you got 3 guys behind? They went 3 different ways, and what do you do defensively? They're very creative, the things that they're doing offensively.
1st and 10 line brought to you by Remax, the sign you want, the agent you need. And on 1st down and 10, plenty of time for Jefferson. Lays it out there to Demarath. On 1st, Jerry Schmidt, who was our strength coach back at Florida my last 2 years. I talked to him, and you know, I'm waiting for him to say, Todd, oh, the discipline. It's unbelievable how they play, just the execution. He said speed, and this isn't a defensive coordinator. This is the strength coach, who all they really care about is strength and speed.
Sure.
So it blew me away. Thanks for bringing that back up. Here's a 2nd down and 3. Lone back is 2. He gets it, and he's stood straight up by pro Chris Przinski. Maybe a little too late, though, as he looks to have enough for another Falcon 1st down. And they're in the red zone. That's the Fleer red zone. Extraordinary vision.
You know, it's interesting with regards to Jared, too. He's not your typical fullback, 6 feet. They list him about 217. He looks more like about 210 or 212. But he sure is durable.
Walker replaces 2 in the backfield. And he'll get the carry. He's hit, but he keeps on going. Unlike years past where we've seen Todd, Chat Hall, he's the main guy that can get the rock and make everybody pay. Pick your poison when it comes to looking into the backfield of these Falcons this year.
That's a great point. And here in this instance, you think the guy just comes off the bench. Well, you don't have him throw a block or pass protect or something. What do? They hand him the ball. They're not afraid of the number of skill position people that they have because they're so effective in their own way.
359 yards rushing in Norman, Oklahoma, the most ever on the ground against a Bob Stoops coached team, the number 7 team in the nation last weekend. Air Force receiving votes and would like to get into the end zone and get 7 points of their own. Cutting outside is Asher Clark, looks to have another Falcon 1st down.
Well, you know, it's as you just pointed out, James, note something here, and if you want to do your math quickly, 273 divided by 41, that's more than 6. 235 divided by 50, not quite 5, but that's the fullback. The other one, nearly 7 yards a carry. Collectively as a team, 6.7 yards per carry. That's amazing.
Fighting to get out, but a stranglehold. Mike Purcell would not let go of that ankle. And the sophomore from Highlands Ranch, down south of Denver, has a big stop for the Bounty Hunters.
Excellent pursuit on the part of Purcell, who's able to get past the center in this case. Watch him skewed. You can see right there the old Joe Green stance, able to move inside and make the play.
Loss of 2, balls on the 10, and it's 2nd down and goal.
The right tackle moved, yeah.
So make that 2nd down and 15.
Chase Darden got off a little bit quickly. And you know that Coach Calhoun isn't pleased with that for a variety of reasons, but most notably because the play was going to the other side anyway. It's understandable if it's going in your direction, but Darden got off just a little bit quick. Now 2nd and goal at the 15.
Nine touchdowns out of a dozen trips for Jefferson and the Falcons this season. He looks right, comes back underneath and throws it behind Demerith, and it will go incomplete. So playing with a short field, the Bounty Hunter defense seems to stand here. It was hit up front. There's Purcell, back-to-back big plays for the sophomore.
James, what do you do here defensively? Do you rush 3 and go 8 and force a field goal, or do you go after the quarterback?
Well, if you go after this quarterback, he can burn you, and that's something that happened last week against Boise State. This, what do you do offensively? You go on a dive on 3rd down and 15. The Falcons hand off to 2. He needed 15, got about 8, and here comes the field goal unit. And Merchant on the tackle, and that should do it. Troy Calhoun and the Falcons trying to draw first blood. It's not easy, though, here ever in Laramie, Wyoming. We'll be right back with quarter number 2. And we start the 2nd quarter, welcoming you back here to the University of Wyoming, and remind you this copyrighted telecast of the Mountain West Conference is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other use or dissemination of this telecast, or the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Mountain West Conference is prohibited. So here's a 26-yard try for Soderberg. Cochran puts it down, and it is no good. Wide to the right. Tough to score here. They have never had a halftime lead, the Falcons, here against the Wyoming Cowboys in this series in Troy Calhoun's tenure.
Back here in Laramie, Wyoming, where the talk all month has been about Ruben Narcisse, the young man who died in an automobile accident just 3 weeks ago. And it's been a very difficult and emotional time for the Wyoming Cowboy football program. But while Ruben is gone, he's certainly remembered. The Cowboy locker room of Ruben's is enclosed with plexiglass. None of the objects in the locker have been touched since the accident. His initials are on the back of every Cowboy helmet. There's a sea of T-shirts in the stands wearing the number 12. And today, Chris Pazinski will be wearing the number 12 in honor of Ruben out on the field.
Thank you, Andy, and this pass complete to David Leonard. And talking with Dave Christensen and Marty English, the defensive coordinator, of course the linebacker coach, Ruben's position coach, feel like we almost know the Narcisse family, and the more we get to know about them there in South Florida, and we know you're watching, the better we feel about where we all sit, this program, where you are. But Daniela, Lionel, and Lyell, God bless you all, and our thoughts, prayers, hugs, and all of our love go out to you, and just such wonderful people. A pastor, his father, Lionel, back in South Florida, and calling these folks and telling them to keep it going, and here they go on the field with Alvester Alexander. He is called throughout these struggles and reminded this team that they are fighting for him and they're pulling for him, and we know you're watching, and they thank you for your support.
One of the best things about the zone read is if you have a quarterback that can take it out and have some misdirection. In this case, they have to pay attention to Austin Carter-Samuels. They have to be disciplined. If they can get a block on that right side, they can open some holes, and sure enough, that's what's happened for number 32, who now has 7 carries, James, already for 83 yards.
That'll put you up there in the positive bracket. 1st and 10 line brought to you by Remax. The sign you want, the agent you need. McNeil in motion, the fake to him, and the give to Kankalongo. And he's upended by Adeji Paul, the safety.
Don't you remember? I remember this, James, and it wasn't that long ago when guys could have carries back to back. No, seriously, I mean, it's come to the point now with 2 and 3 running backs. Oh, okay, he had a 30-yard run, better step off. I mean, these young people are in great shape. You know, I say, you know, if I'm Wyoming, ride number 32. He's so effective.
Here's McNeil in motion again. This time, Carter Samuels gives to him, and he can't get it stretched. Running him east and west is Waiwaiole, the linebacker. Waiwaiole, Amac, and Hennessy have stepped in nicely, the linebackers, along with Andre Morris in this 3-4 defense.
Waiwaiole, listed at 6'3", 230, does a great job of not being fooled by the move to the outside. He doesn't buy the fake. He's able to wrap up the runner in the open field. Excellent play by number 32.
The average 3rd down yardage needed against Boise State for Wyoming, 9.4. Here they need 11 yards to stay on the field. Carter Samuels tries to use his legs. He gets a block down the field at the 40, diving for a 1st down. Big time play for the sophomore to move the chains.
One of the nice things about having that fullback on the field, James, is you do have an extra blocker. You know, when you have a wide receiver as opposed to a fullback, he's not as inclined to throw a block. But there you can see downfield, great block coming back, enabling Austin Carter Sam. Right here, in this case, it's Alvester who's able to come back and pick off number 57, Austin Nicholas.
Al needs to be careful there. That could have been a flag going below the waist on a crack block. And here's Alexander wrapped up by the Amtrak, Brady Amac, the junior linebacker from Pleasanton, California.
But it's interesting, James, he gets wrapped up and it doesn't seem like much of a gain, and you look down and it's between 4 and 5 yards.
You think this guy likes to hit number 41 in the BYU win, a huge one back in Colorado Springs. Amac was cracking some helmets. Here's the 73 yards total this season, but over 100 with 11:20 left in the 1st half today against this Falcon defense.
Well, Coach Dave Christensen, he pulled no bones about it. He said, we've got to be committed to the run today.
And back to the ground they go. Alexander again, Todd, just as you mentioned, didn't look like there was much there for him. But pushing the pack up near the sticks, it'll be 3rd down and short coming up.
And one of the things that's difficult, I think, in collegiate football, no matter how much talent you have, is to try and find balance, because there's only so much time. And so in a lot of cases, we're a power running team, we're a veer team, we're an option team, we're a spread team, we're a run and shoot team. Wyoming is trying to find their offensive identity, and it wasn't in the spread, as Coach Christensen pointed out to us. And so, at least for today, thus far here in the first 2 quarters, has been a power running team.
Blitz came off the edge, and the pressure came slicing from inside. Alexander nowhere to go as the linebacker Patrick Hennessy, the senior from St. Ignatius, a proud program there in Strongsville, Ohio, right outside of Cleveland.
Well, Hennessy's able to come off the cut block. In that case, number 45, that's Studnicka. He can't cut him there. He's got to stay up and give him a lane. And certainly Wyoming's going to go for it here, because you're looking at about a 48-yard field goal. That's hardly a gimme.
And with 9:45 left in the 1st half, a 4th and 2. Very big play call here, and Carter Samuels wants to talk it over with Dave Christensen. We'll be right back to the High Plains. Beautiful Laramie, Wyoming. Let's look at Laramie, brought to you by Live the West, the sports capital of Wyoming. From the farmers market to Vitawoo, rappelling, not too far from Laramie. And of course, all kinds of trout in these rivers and lakes. You've got the snowy mountains and the aspens changing up in the mountains. It looks like Roger Bailey, that little minnow he caught. Snowmobiling, snow's right around the corner. We've already got a dusting just up the road. Live the West. Here in Laramie. And here on 4th down, how about this play call? Austin Carter-Samuels, another first down, Wyoming.
I'm genuinely surprised there that Air Force lost contain on Austin Carter-Samuels. You have to figure that on 4th down, the ball's going to be in number 5's hands. But he hasn't been doing it as often. And as a result, he is able to fool Anthony Wright, the corner, who took a step inside and ended up costing him. As Carter-Samuels breaks contain for the first down just outside the 20.
Fake to McNeil, the give to Alexander. He got a good block from Studnicka and a nice pickup on first down. This trip inside the red zone brought to you by Fleer. Extraordinary vision and great vision to use that block there, the sophomore Alexander.
Both Studnicka and Bolger did an outstanding job. Remember, that takes a while when you have that reverse handoff behind the quarterback. And it took a lot of time to get the ball, and still he was able to get 6 yards on the play.
Second and 4 from the Falcon 15-yard line. Here's Alexander and lowering his pads and making the safety John Davis earn that tackle. We've talked about his speed, Todd, and here he shows his power as well.
You know, it's impressive, James, because sometimes you get these young speedsters who want to cut to the outside and dance and make a play. At this point, he says, you know what, I'm lowering my shoulder and here I come. Runs over the top of Davis, who makes the tackle, but not before yet another first down for the Pokes. James, with that carry, Alexander is already over the century mark.
And that's just 11 carries for the sophomore. He'll take a breather, and it's a play pass this time, looking the direction of the fullback, and a late hit helping him out. Great coverage down the field, but not a very smart play by the end, Zach Payne.
I'm not so sure that this is roughing the passer as much as you might want to call unnecessary roughness. The ball's thrown. He doesn't hit him in the head. You know what, James? I get protecting the quarterback, but at some point, you know, I think that some of these officials are trying to get inside their heads and wondering whether or not that was absent of malice. I don't think you call that.
And if you've watched a lot of college football, go back a couple weeks to South Carolina, Georgia, there are some safeties who you've seen just straight pull up in letting a receiver catch a ball for fear of targeting.
Yep.
Here's Alexander. Good blocking up front, diving forward. And just shy of the goal line, they will call it. Looked like he dove that ball across the line, but it'll be second down and inches.
Well, sometimes they'll just let it go. Watch for yourselves. Technically, sure, the knee might be down, but they got 3 more tries at it.
2 tights in the game to block for Big Al. Up and over and drawing first blood. Dave Christensen and his Wyoming Cowboys.
Well, James, we're talking about Alexander, and people are going to say that he's the story of the game, but I'm telling you the story of the game right now is Curvin, Sterner, Carlson, Hutchins, Leonard, and of course those 2 stud bolt fullbacks who've been put in to make a lot of plays, that being Studnicka and Sadar. I tell you what, that offensive line has really taken the challenge from Coach Christensen.
The extra point, unlike the lone point scored last week, is good this week. Dave likes it. It's 7-0. Cowboys on top, and it feels pretty good. It's not Weird Al anymore, it's Big Al. And there's your Jeep Drive summary brought to you by the most award-winning brand of 4x4s ever, Jeep. Check out the entire lineup at Jeep.com. His second career 100-yard rushing game. The first came in New Mexico Bowl 4 at the end of last season. A thriller overtime, double overtime victory over the Fresno State Bulldogs. And here, number 32, and as you mentioned, Todd, that big Wyoming offensive line that people have been down on a little bit, powering their way down the field and scoring first.
Now on the other side of the coin here, James, I take a look and I see there's only 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Time of possession has been huge for Wyoming. Usually that's the case for Air Force.
And the German Schober kicks it out of the back of the end zone. The Falcons will start at the 20. And let's flash back to that New Mexico Bowl. What a fun one it was in the Duke City. Going bowling in year one, a team that was picked to finish 9th in preseason. Shocked everybody and had 7 wins on the year.
You know, it had to feel pretty good for Alexander, as you pointed out, James, to have that 100-yard game matched up against Ryan Matthews, arguably the top running back in the nation, drafted in the first round by the Chargers.
So back to work, the Falcon offense. And back to the ground with Jared too. Todd, you got the sense, whereas the high of going to a bowl, winning in your first year for Wyoming, they were trying to kind of tame everybody's, expectations, the way they thought of this team. The coaches, Arroyo and Christensen, yesterday in the meeting, they're like, we just took care of the ball. We were safe. We had some luck. We had a freshman quarterback that was just playing out of his head. And now everybody's so high on him, but still a very, very young football team that needed a big boost like they just got on that touchdown drive. Wyoming's up 7-0. We'll be right back. 6:53 left in the first half. Well, Golden Brown or Air Force Blue coaches all on the same team today. Calhoun and Christensen and their staffs among more than 500 coaches joining forces today to support the Coach to Cure MD program. The coaches are wearing the patches on their sleeves to raise awareness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. You can donate $5 to Coach to Cure MD. Text the word CURE to 90999. You can also visit coachtocuremd.org to make a donation. 2nd down and 4 for the Falcons as they try to answer. Here's 2. A hard-fought 4.5 yards, and the sticks will move for the Falcons.
James, let me draw a baseball analogy for you. You hear all the time at this time of year, especially heading into the playoffs, that a team puts up the so-called crooked number. You know, they score a couple of runs and then they say, okay, now the pitcher's got to come out and stop the other people. This is analogous to Wyoming. They drive the length of the field, they dominate, they score a touchdown. But at some point, they've got to stop this Air Force offense.
Here's the hand sweep to Halderman, and a great job to stretch it for that Bounty Hunter defense. A gain of 4 yards. It's Napton and Hendricks. There's Hendricks. Todd, 23 tackles for Hendricks against this Air Force team. It set a Wyoming record that had stood since 1971. Last year, I asked him on the elevator today, how many did you have last year? I knew exactly how many, and he acted like he had to think.
That's funny.
2nd down and 5. They get about 3.
What's the most you ever had in a game?
19.
Really?
19. Do you remember Mike Johnson with the Cleveland Browns?
Sure,
Michael Johnson,
you
great
bet.
linebacker.
Yeah.
Really looked up to him as my dad coached him with the Browns, and he used to always tell me, I got to get 20, and I never did, and it burnt me. Can Hendricks get a big tackle here for his Poke defense? They're waving the rags on the sidelines, trying to get this crowd at 72-20 Jazz for a big stop on 3rd down and 2. Asher Clark, the pitch, and he won't get there. Running him down is Bazooms.
I am really impressed with Bazooms on a couple of plays today in which his pursuit caught people from behind. In that case, it looked for all intents and purposes like Clark was going to put it into another gear.
And on 4th down earlier, it looked like Jefferson and the Falcons were going to go for it. A 46-yard pooch punt on the quick kick from Jefferson. This time it's 4th down and 1 in their own territory. And it's a quarterback draw. This time it will be enough to move the sticks. 1st down, Air Force Falcons.
And I tell you what, that is bold. You had to think to yourself, well, they're not going to do it twice. And, of course, Krasinski is waiting on it. What a great job by Asher Clark coming from a long way around to make that block. He has to come around somebody to get a piece. Otherwise, Jefferson might have been dropped for a loss. Instead, Clark is able to open the hole for Jefferson. It's a first down near midfield for the Cadets.
Setting up to throw and an open receiver, and he can't pull it in. Warzika was the target, and just a little too strong from Jefferson.
And Jefferson would love to have that back. Warzika's a little bit frustrated, but that was just a little bit long. Warzika was wide open. And here's the situation. Just throw the cream puff right here. Throw the cream puff. Don't try and be perfect. That's definitely a catchable ball. Still, when you're open by about 8 yards, James, like that, don't try and be beautiful. Just throw a pop-up, let him catch it, get tackled for a 25-yard gain.
Alderman in motion. Will backtrack the other way, and Jefferson will run the option. The pitch to Asher Clark, and he's dropped a couple yards shy of the first down marker by Bazooms.
And Clark owes an awful lot of those yards to number 7, who ran it just right. Ran down the line, until 2 people committed to Jefferson. Then he's able to pitch the ball out to number 17, who gets the yards that enables him to set up a 3rd and very short.
And the way they're thinking on the Air Force sidelines, 2 plays to get that short yardage. They do it on 3rd, though, 2 diving forward. And it was Jared, too, who came up with those big short yardage runs against BYU, the 4th and 1 in first half in particular.
So let me ask you, as a linebacker, tell me what that's like when you've got somebody to go 4 plays. You know, when they keep getting it on 4th down and they're willing to be bold and do that, how does that make you react defensively? Does it affect you psychologically?
This offense does when it gets clicking, yeah. Absolutely, especially when you've got 4 plays worth of this offense that you've got to deal with. Here's a first down. They go to the air. This time it's hauled down by Warzika. He had to go up top, and a targeting flag, a couple of them will come in late, so they'll tack on Prozinski, the guilty party in that number 12 jersey.
Well, that's an excellent throw on the part of Jefferson, able to find between the 2 defenders. Able to find the seam.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 12, targeting above the shoulders. After distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Here's the ball right in there between the defenders. Nice catch. And he does hit him in the head, but again, this is one of the difficult things here. He's actually trying to separate the ball from the man. But he ends up hitting the head, and as a result, it's a 15-yard penalty. James?
All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're just going to go horse. You're going to drive yourself crazy thinking about it because this is now football. But the mindset that we kind of came up on, football is him being scared to go across the middle next time. We remind you, this is the Fleer Red Zone. Extraordinary vision. Our Red Zone today. Brought to you by the folks at Fleer. It's 2 behind Jefferson. Jefferson and company will check with the sidelines. And the handoff to Jared.
Wow, that was impressive.
Touchdown, the 212-pounder out of Park City, Utah, drives the pack back into the paint, and the Falcons answer.
That's a very impressive drive after all the momentum seemed to be going in the direction of Wyoming. And give number 42 credit in addition to his offensive lineman. If you're a coach and you're one of those guys that believes in running north and south, you got to like number 42. He is not going to lose yardage for you. He's going to head straight ahead and do what he needs to do. Great run by 2 and an outstanding drive by the Falcons. Ooh.
Kick is good. Score goes to Cowboys 7 and the Falcons 7.
Ben Cochran, the backup quarterback, does a great job with the hold. Well, the offensive line for Air Force continues to dominate, as you saw there. Talked about Wyoming's offensive lineman. Let's give credit here, too. Look at him pushing forward, enabling 2 to get the touchdown. But, of course, the biggest play of this drive was the 4th down conversion, the quarterback draw by number 7, who knifes through Wyoming defenders and sets up a new slate of downs for Air Force on the other side of the midfield.
Well, a drive that was capped off by Two's powerful run. Our Jeep Drive Summary brought to you by the most award-winning brand of 4x4s ever, Jeep. Check out the entire lineup at Jeep.com. And that drive, a big one, because it answered that Wyoming Cowboy drive. And in a couple misses for both of these offenses early in this game. It was the opening drive of the game for Wyoming. They go 9 plays and 62 yards right down the throats of the Falcons, and then they throw an interception in the end zone to John Davis. For the Falcons, it was a missed field goal by Soderberg, and he is set to kick it off into the wind here at War Memorial Stadium. High in, the wind catches it. And here come the Pokes. Bolger has it up across the 30-yard line.
Now this is going to be interesting here for this reason in this 2-minute drill. How does Carter Samuels act when up to this point, James? Who would have thought he's thrown 3 passes. He's thrown 3 passes. You know, guy that was averaging, well over 200 yards per game has thrown 3 passes. Is he going to be in rhythm? Are they going to be able to do something here? Or are they going to stay with their running game in hopes that they can knock off enough first downs, stop the clock, and get in field goal range?
Well, coming from behind, and obviously a 2-minute offense several times last year, just when you thought they were done. And, well, there you go, Todd. They go right to the ground. Coming up at halftime, we're going to send you back down I-25. How about this crew in the studio?
Wow.
Marius, Roger, Leuenberg, and Cowboy Joe Glenn. We'll have stats and highlights from here and peek around the rest of the Mountain West Conference. Make sure you check out the crew back there in South Denver here in under 2 minutes to play on the field at Jonah Field, War Memorial Stadium. Beautiful day on the high plains of Laramie, Wyoming this afternoon. And a timeout called.
Wyoming, that's their 3rd and final timeout of the half.
And the 3rd timeout by Austin Carter Samuels is Mike DeFee, our referee, lets us know Dave Christensen. Todd, you hit it. On first down, 2-minute. Oh, here's a chance to sling it around. Back flashes of Chase Daniel, Jeremy Macklin, just like back at Missouri, the high power, but he admitted to us yesterday, he doesn't have those studs right now. There's more speed on this team, he feels, than they've had in a long time, but not quite the horses to run that spread offense. Maybe not quite the guys that are used to blocking in space up front, hence the tighter splits. But what do you do in situations where you can take advantage in a 2-minute offense situation?
Well, now the fact that they've used all of their timeouts, I'm sure that Air Force is cognizant of that. They may be calling a few of their own if Wyoming continues to run the football.
Fake handoff to McNeil and trying to get back out and get his shoulders turned north and south. Austin Carter Samuels doing a good job to run him down. The sophomore safety, Brian Lindsay.
Yeah, but he also may have done them a disservice, James. He needed to be tackled in the field of play. Instead, he got tackled out of bounds, and Air Force can save their timeout. Now, the 1.5 remaining in third and about 4.5. If Air Force stops them here on a running play, they most certainly will use one of their timeouts. What a great play by John Davis. What great anticipation to come from the safety position and knife in and make a play. And now, sure enough, Coach Calhoun calls the timeout with 1:23 remaining.
Well, mentioned how beautiful War Memorial Stadium was today, and it isn't just because of the sunshine and the 67-degree weather. Not much of a wind whipping around, and the new luxury boxes across from us here, the Wildcatter Stadium Club and Suites. Beautiful facilities. They gave Andrea Lloyd a tour yesterday. Off limits for us. They were afraid we were going to dirty things up, but I guess that's what you get when you're the mayor.
What? Doesn't she have one of the suites?
Yeah, well, I just have a pass up there anytime I want to go. 256 plus sheets up there, you guys. $2,500 a year for a season ticket. I would pay that just to have it climate controlled.
Oh, come on now. You're tougher than that, Andy. Here's Anthony Wright set to return the punt from Austin McCoy. Looking for a big play out of their return men this season. Troy Calhoun said he won't get it here. An outstanding punt that'll go into the end zone. A 74-yarder for McCoy against Boise State last week. And this one will put the ball at the 20. Good hustle down, trying to knock it out, is David Tooley, or Marqueston Huff, rather, the backup safety. Ruff.
That ended up hitting him on the back of the leg. He just couldn't quite get it.
62 yards, that one.
I was about to say McCoy bumped his average up with that one. Nice to be able to kick with the wind in that circumstance. Now it'll be interesting to see what Coach Calhoun decides to do with 1:17 left and 2 timeouts. If he goes into the 2-minute mode or decides that he's content to have a tie and go in the locker room at halftime.
Jefferson will operate out of the gun, 3 wides. Clark the lone back. And a quarterback draw on first down. And there you go, a first down to move the chains. And maybe just shy, so the clock will tick as it nears 1 minute left in the first half. One more tackle for Hendricks. This time he will throw way high and unable to pull it down. Demarath, Purcell on the pressure.
Purcell is having a terrific first half. He seemed to be spending an awful lot of time in the backfield of Air Force. Take a look at Purcell from the left of your screen. Remember, this is a nose tackle, folks. He's not supposed to be a pass rush kind of guy, and he just clobbers Jefferson.
Purcell has had an outstanding first half, Todd, and here's 2.
Well, that'll stop the clock. Now Air Force will get an opportunity to regroup and see if they can find their way into field goal position. Now remember, Air Force is going into the wind, so they need to get to at least the 25-yard line.
Sean Gibson was on the coverage as the Falcons go to Mark Willis. Guy listed as a defensive end. Or check that, rather. That's Zach Koff.
Nice catch.
Again, they keep on striking. This time, they go across to Demarath and Hendricks, the linebacker, another stop. Clock under 30 seconds now in the first half. Try the wheel route for Asher Clark, and this a ball. Ghali Muhammad, had he not stepped in, Wyoming coaches say uncatchable, but Asher Clark could have run underneath that ball had Ghali Muhammad not cut him off. Officials will talk it over, though. 2 flags came down on the play. They were trying to match up a sophomore Muhammad linebacker on the wheels of Asher Clark, the junior from Lawrenceville, Georgia.
We have offsetting fouls on the play. Pass interference, defense number 23. Pass interference, offense number 12. Those penalties offset, replay first down.
Well, it's not number 12, it's number 17, Asher Clark, and I find that interesting that you have 2 differing opinions on the exact same play. It's kind of like the hand fighting. I don't know how that would have been an offensive interference, but Wyoming catches a break there. Air Force still out of field position. And James, let's not forget this. Remember, Soderberg's confidence has got to be a little bit low after missing a 26-yarder. He's 2 for 5 on the season now.
There's the handoff to Clark.
And you saw Jefferson throw his hands up. He didn't understand that play at all, trying to get into field goal range, because now they have to use their timeout with 11 seconds left, and more than likely, I think that was their last timeout, James. They're probably going to have to kick here.
You mentioned Soderberg is long of the year, 29 yards. And this, Troy Calhoun told us on the conference call earlier this week, he said, this is always a tight contest, and we have never had the lead at halftime. His 3 years there in Colorado Springs as the head coach of the Falcons.
Well, James, according to the scoreboard, I'm mistaken. Evidently, they do have one more timeout left. But that was a curious call, running off tackle. And most certainly here you would have to think a quarterback draw, a reverse, or something along those lines, or throwing the ball downfield, because into that wind, we're looking at about a 46-yard field goal right now. And I'm not sure, given Soderberg's state of mind, if he'd be able to make that.
11 seconds left to play in the first half. Jefferson to pass. Looks for Fogler, who wasn't supposed to play today, but incomplete. Great coverage by Deshaun Gibson.
Well, now this is interesting, just the point that we made with regards. They wanted to get a jump ball with Fogler because he's 6'5", but Gibson just makes a terrific play batting it away. Nice coverage by number 4. Now 6 seconds left. This is going to be interesting. They're going to have to do this play quickly.
It's 3rd down and 6. That's Clark in motion. Here's 2. He's stood up by Purcell. And they do get the timeout. Jefferson turns around. Shoot, I thought you were supposed to get home cooking.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Stadium.
When you're on your own stadium, exactly right. I was thinking, come on, you got to bleed that clock. But now a much more makeable field goal at about 40 yards right down the middle of the goalpost.
Let's see if we can go back and take a look to see just how close they came, and see if Dave Christensen needs to visit the clock operator here at War
1002,
Memorial.
1003, 1004, 1005.
Okay. I'm with you.
All right.
Not a way to be honest. Speaking of honesty, how about this? Tom Berman, the athletic director, and the crew here at the University of Wyoming. Last week, Boise State's in town, a number 3 team in the nation. They announced not a sellout, but 72 shy of a sellout. Talk about being honest. I think I call that a sellout.
Oh, that's cute. I understand. I was reading something recently that apparently it's the best policy.
29 the long, this 10 yards more for Soderberg. He's 2 of 5 on the year from 39 out. Snap on the ground, in trouble. And here come the Pokes. Dodging a couple bullets, and they'll take it into the halftime locker room, knotted up at 7 with their front range rivals. We've got ourselves a ball game here at 7,220 feet.
Well, the snap, it's just too hard. The snap is off. As we talked about, backup quarterback is able to do something, in this case, try to get it down. That's Ben Cochran, but it's just too much to ask for. Here's Andrea with the coach.
Coach, pretty good first half, exciting. You dodged a couple of bullets. You were going to go with your running game. You committed to it. You happy with it?
I am. We got to come out. We got to block a little bit better. We had a couple of breakdowns, but overall, I think that we're making some progress. We're moving the ball on the ground, shortening the game some. Got to tackle a little bit better on defense, but they're keeping it out of the end zone.
What's the message to the guys at the half?
Well, we got 30 minutes now. We're going to see if we can play for 60.
All right, good luck.
And par for the course, Andrea. Again, the Falcons under Troy Calhoun cannot take a lead into the halftime locker room dealing with the Wyoming Cowboys. We're tied at 7 on the High Plains. A beautiful afternoon. Some fun football going down on the field. We're going to take it back down I-25 to the studio in South Denver, where Marius and guys like Roger Bailey are waiting around. Bailey, they don't have this kind of excitement in baseball even in September. Take it away, guys. College Football on the Mountain is brought to you by RE/MAX, the sign you want, the agent you need. By American Family Insurance. Is your coverage as unique as your family? Find out at amfam.com/family. By Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. By the Wyoming Department of Transportation. WYDOT reminds you buzz driving is drunk driving. Always designate a sober driver. And by Steel. To find the full line of dependable Steel outdoor power equipment, see your local servicing Steel dealer or visit steeldealers.com. Wyoming fans liking what they're seeing here at War Memorial Stadium, and that's exactly what we've seen for the past 4 years. Low scoring, tight games at halftime. Welcome back, everybody. Todd Christensen, James Bates. A couple chances maybe to put in some field goals, but really for the most part, an inspired effort by Dave Christensen's Wyoming Cowboys.
You know, it has been, but this game's been a little bit backwards to me. I'm a little confused. Did Jefferson out-threw Carter Samuels in the first half, and Wyoming outrushed Air Force? I'm sorry, what game am I watching?
Well, that's right. As we take a look at our Ram keys to the game, we revisit and check back in. Award-winning Ram trucks plus a new heavy duty make it one of the most powerful lineups in Ram history.
Well, Air Force's rush to judgment's nothing special. As you can see, average 4.7, that's pretty average. 135, well below what they normally do. Carter Samuels, of course, not throwing the ball well, but running the ball effectively. You see over 9 yards per carry. Wyoming definitely running scared. Very impressive with 140 yards in the first half. Time of possession, once again, Wyoming, can you believe that? 20 seconds on top of Air Force. I don't imagine there are too many people that would have thought that would have occurred.
Well, Andrea Lloyd at the beginning of the week, Troy Calhoun said expect a tight one. What did he have to say coming out of the locker room?
Well, and to Todd's point, he said he really was not that surprised that Wyoming ran the ball as much as they did, but that his team needs to play better. More discipline, can you imagine that? And with a lot more focus and energy. So expect a little more focus in the second half, but it'll be interesting to see if Wyoming can continue that run game and to dominate over Air Force.
Thank you, Andy. In his 4th season, 3 years, 3 bowl trips for the Falcons. They thought they were a couple years away when he and his crew first took over, but getting it done in season and in the postseason. One of the most exciting bowls of the College Bowl season last year. The win in Fort Worth over Houston in the second half is underway. Well, today's edition of Clearing the Way brought to you by the Wyoming Department of Transportation. WYDOT reminds you buzz driving is drunk driving. Always designate a sober driver. Clearing the way all day for Big Al. That offensive line of the Wyoming Cowboys, and well, they've been doing it all season long up front. The nice surprise for Troy Calhoun, his offensive line, paving the way for guys like Tim Jefferson and Jared too. And it'll be Jefferson on the keeper. Hit hard after a pickup of about 7 on first down. Krasinski in there wearing that number 12 to honor Narcisse on the stop.
Interesting choice on the part of Wyoming here to begin the second half. Of course, Air Force had the option. Of course, they're going to receive, but Wyoming kicked into the wind. So that means in the fourth quarter, they're going to have the wind. Obviously, that was a curious choice. I would have thought they'd have wanted the win right away, but they didn't.
Well, here's a missed tackle by Hendricks. He had Asher Clark stopped for a loss. Instead, Clark gets the first down and then some as he crosses the 45-yard line. Shamil Gary, who had 17 tackles against the Broncos last weekend, there to finally clean him up, and it looks like a stinger maybe for number 8.
Well, how much of this is poor tackling versus Clark does exactly what every young running back is supposed to do? You youngsters that aspire to being a running back, keep moving your legs. See number 17 continuing to move at the point of attack, getting those vital yak, i.e. yards after collision.
Play pass almost picked off. Thrown right into the hands of the German Oliver Schober, who's in there. They didn't expect to play him too much because, well, just as you'd guess, a guy playing ball in Germany last year, it's almost not fair, Todd. Almost not fair to throw him in against this Air Force option.
Yeah, but in the case of Schober, you know, he's able to come in. There he is. He does exactly what he's supposed to. He reads that it's going to be a pass, reads the quarterback's eyes, and just goes right through his hands. That could have been a pick.
Schober also kicking off for the Cowboys this season. It was a tryout, and of course playing a lot of soccer growing up. He won the job. Here's the option. And the pitch. They get outside. A first down. A good block down the field by Warzika. Brzezinski on the stop, and it's Cody Getz, the sophomore out of Buford, Georgia. Another guy getting involved. A 13-yard pickup.
Nice misdirection by Air Force in that situation. Usually they have a momentum going in one direction. They take the step out, the cheat step. Wyoming did not have the pursuit to the weak side of the field, and as a result, Air Force gets the easy first down.
That's a new Remax 1st and 10 line, the sign you want, the agent you need. Getz remains in the backfield, dots the I behind 2. Option comes this way, short side of the field. Check that, I'm sorry, it's Jonathan Warzika, the junior from Lake Elsinore, California, on the carry, and Chris Brzezinski with another stop. Unofficially, we've got him at 10, and we had Hendricks at 12 at halftime. There is a flag on the play.
Personal foul, chop block, number 51, offense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, it's the second one of those, and you don't see the coach complaining about it. Air Force probably does more cut blocking than any other team in the nation.
Marty English, the defensive coordinator, told us they've worked extra cut blocks all week long. And there you see a couple on the pass, a great job, as the pass is incomplete, intended for Fogler. Todd, what does that do for a defensive lineman who's rushing in and you go down and you take out his legs for the passing lanes for a shorter Jefferson?
Well, I think certainly it can clear away, but I think the other thing too is that if he doesn't get it done, then he's got all sorts of people in his face. And I think, as you pointed out, they've been practicing against it all week, and certainly hasn't bothered that guy right there, number 50, Mike Purcell, who's having a tremendous game.
Here comes the option, again, short side of the field. Getz is tripped up by Ghali Muhammad. On 2nd down and 20, they got maybe 3.
Good open field tackle there. Watch to the left of your screen. Muhammad is not fooled by the misdirection. A little bit stepping back, able to get a shoestring tackle, even though a couple of yards. Muhammad drops him, and now a 3rd and extremely long, about 16 for the Cadets.
Plenty of time for Jefferson. They go short, and way short of the first down as the pass is complete to Kauff.
I would think that in this case they're not going to mess with the pooch punt, but they'll actually be punting it away here. See if they can do it. Jefferson was able to do earlier in the other half, and that is pin them inside the 10.
So here's Bartholomew for the first time today. David Leonard waits for it at his own 10. Heels at that 10-yard line, and the fake. Cochran with the ball, look down the field, a good job picking him up initially, and unable to hang on is Davis. Pass is incomplete, so the Polk defense will stand.
One of the most difficult things if you're going to run a fake is that part of the field, because Wyoming had on their safe, their prevent defense. They're not fooled at all by the misdirection. Take a look, you can see their brown shirts flying all over the place and in coverage. Now you get a tip pass right there. There's a chance that unable is Davis to hold on to the ball as it goes through his hands, and now Wyoming has tremendous field position at their own 39. James, I gotta say something right here. One thing Air Force is not doing is playing conservatively. It's unbelievable what they're doing on 4th down.
This is not your grandfather's, or your father's for that matter, Air Force Falcon football. It's not lining up in a triple option and trying to out-discipline and out-muscle. A lot of craftiness in that game plan, and stuffing it right there, the Wyoming defense doing a little stuffing of his own. The guy who couldn't pull that one in, John Davis, on the tackle. That was the 6th time, by the way, this year that the Falcons have gone for it on 4th down. 4 for 4 coming into today. Of course, we highlighted Tim Jefferson's run on 4th and 1 in the first half that led to a score, and coming up empty that time. But the ball is in Wyoming field position. Here's Samuels, dumps it underneath and bobbled around. Everybody holding their breaths here at War Memorial Stadium. Our Remax out-of-town scoreboard one more time. The sign you want, the agent you need. Todd, that Utah State-San Diego State is a very interesting matchup, because the Aztecs off to a great start, 2-0. They, unlike Air Force, who never led but could have won the game, they were in the game and giving a run for their money to the Oklahoma Sooners last year. It was an Aztec team that should have won the game. A no call that cost them late to a top 25 Missouri team. it's all for naught if they lose to Utah State and DeAndre Burrell today. On third down, Austin Carter Samuels, first down across midfield.
You know, what's impressive about Austin Carter Samuels, James, is his patience. I think as a freshman, this is the sort of play, watch him hesitate, let the blocks clear themselves. Now he cuts to the outside. That's not where the play is supposed to be. And now as a sophomore, as opposed to a freshman, he realizes that discretion sometimes is the better part of valor as he gets down before he takes a shot of consequence.
14 yards for Christensen's sensational sophomore. What a great freshman year for Austin Carter Samuels. Last year leading this team to a bowl game and a double overtime win. Here he'll pump and go to the air, looking up top for Bolger. Bolger's got it inside the 20. Lindsey was trailing, and a perfectly thrown ball from Carter Samuels.
It's a beautiful throw on the part of Carter Samuels. Lindsey buys on the fake. You're going to see right at the left of your screen. There's the fake, a little hesitation. Sure enough, you know, that's actually Wright is the one who gets fooled. Lindsey has to come off of his man and make the play. But what a terrific throw between the two white shirts by Carter Samuel, putting it right on the money.
It was all Leonard last year, and Bolger has stolen the show this year, leading in catches and yards. A 33-yard pickup. And here goes Alexander. Back inside that Fleer red zone. Extraordinary vision and extraordinary determination here on the heels of two big beatdowns to top 5 teams. These Wyoming Cowboys, kind of what you got out of number 5 in this team last year in the form of week to week and game to game. They weren't giving up even when it looked like they were down and out. Again to Al. Nobody touches him until he hits the paint. Touchdown, Alvester Alexander.
John Hutchins and Josh Leonard just put together a tremendous job. Watch the right side of your screen. Look at the hole, especially Leonard to the outside. A gaping chasm for Alexander to go through for his second touchdown of the game.
Extra point is good. It was a 9-yard run for Alexander, but the big play of the drive, you asked for some passing from these pokes, Todd. Well, you got it. Austin Carter Samuels to Bolger for 33 yards, and the Cowboys are back on top. And we're back. The high plains of Laramie, Wyoming. Andrea Lloyd down on the sidelines. Along with Todd Christensen, I'm James Bates. Glad to have you with us at high noon, the kickoff of this one in a classic showdown whenever the Falcons and the Cowboys get together. Tim Jefferson and these Air Force Falcons beating BYU for the first time in a good time, trying to chip into the top 3 of this Mountain West Conference, going on the road to Norman last week and scaring the Sooners, losing by 3. And they've got their hands full with the Cowboys today. Here comes Warzika. Great coverage by the Cowboys special teams. How about our air stats today, brought to you by Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for, but you may forget looking at those numbers. It's flip-flopped a little bit from what you'd expect, Todd.
Yeah, twice as many throws for Air Force than for Wyoming. And of course, this has been a game of ground games up to this point, and Wyoming has been surprisingly dominant with an offensive line and is just playing their hearts out.
First drive for the Falcons. They went into Wyoming territory, came up empty on a miss on a fake punt. Second drive of the second half, and they go right to Jared 2. Looks to have almost enough for a first down. Ghali Muhammad on the tackle, or is it Mike Singletary?
Well, I don't know if they're quite that wide.
Well, eyeballs nonetheless.
Not quite the same intensity.
And it was a missed tackle. So
all of those things show.
Details, details. All the time in the world for Jefferson, but good coverage and intercepted. Chris Krasinski, the senior from Buffalo, Wyoming, has the ball back in the hands of the guys wearing the brown and game day gold.
The idea was to run off Krasinski with the other receiver, but the veteran from Buffalo, Wyoming is somebody that knows a little bit better. Watch just to the middle of your screen. Number 12 is going to come off his man and come over and make the pick. Great anticipation on the part of number 12, who's known more for his tackling than his interceptions. But you can see right there playing center field, coming off the other receiver to aid Shamil Gary, his partner at safety. Huge turnover for the Cowboys.
Wearing that number 12 jersey, he told Andy Lloyd yesterday afternoon, wearing this, I feel not only am I playing for my family, his father, a high school basketball coach back in Buffalo, Wyoming, but Ruben and his family as well, and making it look good today. And looking good, Alvester Alexander and this offense, they just keep on churning. Sticky Ricketts on the stop.
Now, James, it's runs like that that lead me to believe with that second effort getting 2-3 extra yards, that I just wonder, usually you wouldn't think this of an Air Force team, but I just wonder if after, the big game against Oklahoma, knowing that they've got Navy at home next week, if maybe, just maybe, they took this Wyoming team for granted.
7 years Navy has won that game. It's such a big one. Here's McNeil. He gets stretched, and it's funny because we asked that very question to Troy Calhoun, and it was one. Our team, we've called 3 blowouts these first 3 weeks of this football season. And, you look at it on paper. Here's Air Force goes to the wire with OU. Wyoming is struggling, so it could be conversational in the second half. Hey, let's talk about Navy. So we kind of just tried to slide it in there and ask him about the Navy game, and he wanted no part. So Calhoun maybe not looking forward. He's got to get his team focused on these Wyoming Cowboys right now because a top 25 caliber team, at least it looked the first 3 games of the year, receiving votes on the low end in this 14-7 game here against Wyoming today. A lot of ball to be played though, and here's a first down as they connect with Studnicka. Austin Carter-Samuels over to the junior fullback.
And if you're somebody who doesn't play that much, and when you do play, it's pretty much as a third guard, what a thrill it is to get a ball. Carter-Samuels does a nice job of leading him out. There you can see Studnicka from the backfield just runs a flat route. And Carter-Samuels puts it between the 4 and the 5 to give Wyoming yet another first down.
There aren't many other positions you could play than fullback, maybe linebacker with that last name, Studnicka. Alvester Alexander going the wrong way, right in his lap as soon as he took the handoff on a safety blitz. Brian Lindsay.
Well, there's a situation where it's easy to blame the offensive line, but there's a case, James, where on the zone read, this is one that Carter-Samuels should have pulled out. Take a look. Watch down here, though. Take a look down here to the left. Sure, there's going to make a play up here, but watch the left. See, if he goes to his left, he's got a lot of room to run. But instead, he keeps the ball in the belly of Alexander, and the result is a big loss.
Showing blitz, but backing out. 3-man rush and a quarterback run. When Austin Carter-Samuels decides to pull the trigger and tuck it and go, he's got some juice. Nice pick up there to get some yardage back. Amack on the tackle.
That play has been continually successful for Wyoming today. Carter-Samuels, James, is averaging. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. 6 carries for 60 yards for Carter-Samuels at the quarterback position.
A lot of those yards on the ground today, Todd. Guys trying to get outside, but unable to get the ball turned north and south. Most of the yardage has been right there in the middle. That's where Carter-Samuels will look. Here on 3rd and long, forced to scramble. Good coverage down the field. Alexander finally pops open behind Lindsay, but ball thrown out of bounds as Carter-Samuels had to rush it as the late pressure came.
We were talking about Studnicka, and that wasn't on the mind of Carter-Samuels. He has an opportunity here for an absolutely huge play if he can just find it. Studnicka sneaks out of the backfield on the right side, and he's just wide open. Air Force completely forgot about him, and then Carter Samuels starts to roll to his left. The ball was thrown a little bit too far outside, and Carter Samuels realizes that. But he had an opportunity on the other side of the field with Studnicka if he could have found it.
There you see the deep breaths for the great corner, Reggie Rembert. We haven't heard from him too much today, and the Cowboys will take a delay of game penalty here. And well, you haven't heard from him much because he's one of the best cover men in the country.
Right.
So choosing to go the other direction, and Anthony Wright, who's another outstanding corner, he bit on that 33-yard connection in the last drive. But Reggie Rembert, it just personifies the toughness that you get with the academy kids. Left the game in week 1 with a neck brace, and everybody unsure they'd even see him against BYU. Not only did he start, but he had a big interception in the win in Colorado Springs as well. He'll call for the fair catch, and a ball that gets up high and caught by the wind. Looked to knuckleball there for a while, and finally down by Przinski at the 22-yard line. And that's where Jefferson and the Falcons will take over and once again try to answer. It's 14-7, Cowboys. Shot of the Western Thunder Marching Band here at War Memorial Stadium. We welcome you back. Score is 14-7. Let's take a peek at our delivery of the game, brought to you by Domino's, who wants everyone to try their inspired pizzas. 2 medium, 2 topping pizzas for just $5.99 each.
A little hook and go. Zach Bulger puts the move on Anthony Wright. 33-yard completion sets up the second touchdown of the game, and that's the reason why the Cowboys are ahead right now.
Trying to grind it out a little bit. The ground and pound, as they're starting to call this Air Force rushing attack, kind of playing off of the old Steve Spurrier ball of the 90s, the fun and gun. I like that, the ground and pound there in Colorado Springs.
Wait a minute, isn't that what they're doing in South Carolina with Spurrier?
That's true, that's a good point, with a freshman nonetheless.
Shoot.
Wow, sticking his foot in the ground and making a guy miss is Tim Jefferson. Here goes Jefferson. He's caught from behind as he crosses the 45-yard line, a first down and then some. And 22 yards later, the chains will move. Gibson finally gets him.
And this is the sort of play, if Air Force scores at the end of this drive, this is the sort of play that inspires them. That Jefferson puts his foot in the ground and makes that move, as you point out. What a nice cut by Jefferson. Now he cuts upfield, is able to weave behind some white shirts, get some additional yardage, fire up that offense a little bit, which seems somewhat moribund here in this third quarter.
And how about the blocking downfield? Nothing moribund about that blocking downfield.
No, he had 2 white shirts in front of him. You don't get a chance to loaf if you're a lineman and a receiver for Air Force. You're downfield and you're throwing blocks.
Nathan Walker replaces 2. It's Halderman in motion. The give is to Walker, gets a couple, and across midfield. Let's get it down to Andrew, who's behind that Wyoming bench.
Yeah, guys, a lot of enthusiasm here. A bit different in the second half as opposed to the first half. If you remember when Wyoming scored that goal in the first half, they were out of their minds, a lot of relief and excitement. And I think that maybe carried over to the next defensive possession. This half, it seems like there's a little bit more focus on both sides of the ball and keeping the fans entertained over here as well.
Well, Andrea, there's something to be said for when you're dominating physically, and that's what that offensive line has done.
There's the pitch to Clark, who gets a block out on the edge, but he, will be very close to first down yardage. They're blocking for him.
And Asher Clark's got to be unhappy with himself for this reason. He's a nifty guy that can make, he can make people miss, and he's got great feet. But watch at the end of this run. He gets the block. Now he runs up the back of his own guy right here. Just run through number 2 to the outside, Gibson, and you're going to have the first down.
It'll be a first down and 15 now instead of
Offense.
I'm surprised they didn't measure that. I didn't think that was automatic by any stretch, but the officials thought otherwise, and Air Force caught a break.
Troy Calhoun was courted by the Tennessee Volunteers, with Lane Kiffin pulling a Baltimore Colts on him here this offseason. They came after Troy Calhoun, offered him the job. He said, if these kids can commit to 4 years at the academy, I can commit to them. Class act, he and his cadets. Looking at a first down and 15 now. Again, cutting on a dime, but being cut down by Shamil Gary, the Tulsa, Oklahoma product, from his safety spot.
Yeah, but you know what, James? Don't get all that excited about making a tackle for a 7-yard gain. Gary is one of those people you can see nearly 13 tackles per game. He's been outstanding. Look at the block downfield. Cal doesn't get it done. And as a result, Gary is able to come in and upend and drop number 7. Nevertheless, it was still about a 6-7 yard gain.
Here's the reverse. Mikhail Hunter, who has some jets. Can he get to the edge? No. He's run down from behind by Shamil Gary. How about that one? Can you get fired up about that one? Gibson sets the edge to help on the stop.
Shamil Gary does an outstanding job of using the boundary. Watch, you're going to see the reverse, and it looks like he's going to have some room, but number 7 is going to come into the picture and measure him. Right here, he's measuring him, not waiting for him to come back, but knowing he has enough speed to go with him, he goes to the outside, and that's exactly what happened. And now a crucial 3rd down here for Air Force.
3rd down and 6. And a first down pickup as Cody gets enough yardage to move the sticks. Przinski over on the stop, but a little too late. 11 yards on the pickup.
Once again, a great job by Tim Jefferson in faking. They go for the dive with 2. Looks like, oh, Jefferson's going to run again. We're used to that, and he pitches at the last minute. Number 7's a bit of a magician right now.
Here's Getz again, and he's swallowed up by Oliver Schober. Schober had a coach in Germany who played for Dave Christensen at Toledo. Called up Christensen and said, look, trust me on this guy. He's a ball player. Now, it was an amateur team, so he only has 2 years of eligibility. This is his first year, and he's a 21-year-old junior that they just love. 2nd down and 7 now for the Falcons. Pitch to Clark, and he's popped in the backfield. Ghali Muhammad. Golly.
This is an enormous play for a variety of reasons, James. Not just the negative yardage and having him come up 3rd and long as we get to the end of the 3rd quarter and give him a chance to talk about it. But now, James, they're going to be into the wind. So if they have to kick a field goal, they're having enough problems as it is. Number 23, Muhammad, knifes through. Big loss, big play for the Cowboys heading into the 4th stanza.
Ah, baby, you like it. Well, time to cowboy up maybe and lose that pacifier. Guys getting kind of old.
I would think so, yeah.
Welcome you back, 14-7 as we start the 4th quarter. Cotton Eye Joe's blaring here, the loudspeakers at War Memorial Stadium, and Pokes fans having a good time. Dave Christensen just sent his defense back out onto the field. Taught the struggles with the snapping, the holding, the kicking. Soderberg just 2 for 6 this season. It is 3rd down and long. But if you're a Poke fan, you're hoping that Marty English and company sent him out there and reminded, watch out for the dive, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think the reason here is that conventional wisdom is you might want to try and get the first down here on 3rd and 11. But I could see Air Force just running the ball, setting up a 4th and 4, 4th and 5, and going for it because, as you point out, the field goal team has just struggled mightily today.
It's Clark and not 2, the lone back. He'll be the pitch man, but Jefferson will keep it. 3rd down and 11, maybe 3. Keith Lewis, who got his first start as a Cowboy today, on the tackle. And here's your decision time, and it doesn't look like much of a decision to be made. The offense is staying out there.
And this really handcuffs you as a head coach when you can't get a field goal or you don't have confidence in your field goal team.
They need 7. 4th down and 7. Falcons will go for it on fourth for the 7th time this season. They've come up empty just once. The pitch to Clark, gets the edge, dives forward. This will be close. Looked to go out of bounds right about the sticks as Przinski hit him.
But I tell you what, that's great vision on the part of Clark and great acceleration. It looked like he wanted to stay inside, but once he gets the ball, notice how he's going to cut to the outside and accelerate and get that first down. What a nose for the ball by number 17, and a courageous call on the part of the offensive cognoscenti. There he is, going forward, getting past the first down marker. Great effort on the part of Clark.
They want to look this one back over. Obviously, a huge play in this ball game. Asher Clark.
Well, again, we're up here, James, and I wouldn't say we have the ideal vantage point, but it looked to me like he went out of bounds well past the flag. Now, see, here's something that's always interesting about that people at home who are, you know, if you're the spirit or letter of the law kind of person. Okay, take a look right there. It looks like his body and the ball are passed, but he's also out of bounds. And so what do you say? Is it the last thing where your foot is touched? It's a little bit like, James, you had to be driven crazy by that thing, Detroit Lions. Remember that Calvin Johnson clearly catches the ball, gets himself up, leans on the ball, and just leaves it behind. Everybody on the planet knew that was a catch, but they went to the absolute letter of the law and took it away from him. I'm telling you right there that if you wanted to go letter of the law, you could say, well, the last place his foot was in bounds was before the marker. But there wasn't much of an argument from the Wyoming side where that was concerned. And I would say, you know, if we're talking about irrefutable evidence, I think it's got to be a first down for Air Force.
There you see the marker with
goodness.
a 1. So it was ruled a first down on the field as they review it. Wow.
Wow. Did Jeremy fly in from Seattle, or did I miss something?
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. First down, Air Force.
So you've got 3 ways that call can go as we check back in with the head referee, Mike DeFee. It can go reversed, which it was. It can go confirmed, which it wasn't. And it stands, which
right.
there wasn't evidence, as you said, that showed this definitely happened. Not a great angle, but still a first down, a fresh set of downs. We're back in the red zone, the Fleer red zone, that is. Extraordinary vision, the folks at Fleer. Eyes on the goal line for the Falcons. Got to answer to tie this ball game up. And the big man, Jared 2, who Falcon fans thought had a broken hand earlier this season. It was just a very deep bruise. Swollen, has not missed a beat. And he keeps him charging right here on first down. It's a 5-yard pickup before Purcell drops him.
I'm not sure in some cases that's not worse, because the swelling is such. Sometimes when you get a break, there's not the swelling and you can set it.
Again to 2. Again, a nice pickup. Dives forward inside the 5. It will be a first down and goal. Knocking on the door, 2 and the Falcons.
Interesting that 2 has terrific hands, and I say that because he's got to get the ball so close to the quarterback. So close to the quarterback and handoff. I'm surprised that there aren't more fumbles or bobbles or exchanges between the quarterback and fullback, because he's so close to the line of scrimmage. But 2 is certainly sure-handed.
This time, nothing there for him, but a bunch of guys with white bonnets and Steamboat on the side. Good stop by the Cowboy defense. Purcell and Bazoons. Boy, Mike Purcell, the sophomore, has been outstanding there in the middle today.
Both he and Bazoons are having great days. Yeah, that was disjointed. That's got to be motion.
False start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And inside the 10-yard line with a team that's struggling with field goals and everything else, this is a big 5 yards, partner.
This is not Air Force Falcon football.
Not discipline, absolutely right.
That's the 6th penalty for the Falcons, 45 yards totaling today. The stack behind Jefferson as he checks at the line. It's Walker who will take the dive.
Wow.
Hey, Nathan Walker, the senior from right there in the Springs. A hometown boy getting into the paint. And the Falcons 1 point away from tying this one up.
You know what's impressive about that, James, besides the line blocking, and then Walker comes in and gets himself a touchdown. 2 got stuffed on back-to-back plays, right? He gets stuffed. So you're on the defense saying to yourself, well, they're not going to give the fullback the ball. What? Oh, 3rd time, and they do. And he goes in for the touchdown. Great persistence on the part of Air Force.
Soderberg, the extra point, he drills that one through just to prove to the sidelines, hey, you can still count on me maybe a little bit. You think the Falcon fans are glad they made the 3-hour drive up I-25? We're all tied up at 14, just under 12 minutes left to play. So the #1 rushing team in the nation coming into this college football Saturday, going to the ground to tie this one up at 14. Nathan Walker, his 3rd touchdown of the season. And a 14-14 fist fight here on the high plains of Laramie, Wyoming. Andrea Lloyd, Todd Christensen, and James Bates, our entire mountain crew here at 7,220 feet, having a good time with the Pokes and the Falcons. Glad to have you with us. Ghali Muhammad, the linebacker who had a few big stops on that last drive, deep to receive along with Zach Bolger, who got the 33-yard pass from Curtis Samuels on their touchdown scoring drive in the 3rd quarter. Muhammad goes back, and here he comes from the 7. Breaks a couple tackles. Ghali Muhammad has the Pokes in perfect position to strike again up near midfield. A 43-yard return.
James, this is usually Air Force that does this, that has the big special teams play, but instead it's Wyoming that gets it. They'll have the ball at midfield when we return.
And with a bunch of great plays, why not show you our great clips of the game? And they started early. Davis with the interception on the opening drive from Wyoming, and well, the fun had just begun. Tim Jefferson and company going back and forth with Austin Curtis Samuels, who has been outstanding ever since stepping foot here at 7,220 feet above sea level in Laramie, Wyoming. Visit greatclips.com or call 1-800-GREAT-CLIPS for a salon near you. Great Clips, relax. You're at Great Clips. Speaking of clips, we should send him on to the shop.
Yeah,
Tony boy there.
That mane was a little shaggy. You're absolutely right.
It's almost like a zoo here. We got the falconry team here for Air Force. 3 Falcons in the house today, and got the pony.
You know, James, with the 6 carries for 60 yards, I'm surprised that Curtis Samuels isn't pulling the ball out a little bit more on that zone read. I know that Alexander has 122 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that might be getting a little bit predictable. It might be time for number 5 to take the ball into his own hands and do some things in the ground.
Here's 2nd and 9. The blitz was on. They dump it outside, and a good job with the open field tackle. No gain. Andre Morris Jr.
Hennessy is the guy that greets him first, and that's an excellent play coming from the linebacker position, maintaining him straight up until his friends can come over. And now Wyoming is in danger of wasting the tremendous field position as a result of the Muhammad kickoff. Now 3rd and 9.
Well, we thought that kickoff return big, not just for field position, but for a lot of reasons. And trying not to waste it here, Todd. Curtis Samuels in this Pope offense. Falcons bring 4, plenty of time for Austin. Good coverage down the field. Anthony Wright dives, unable to pull it in, and so the Falcon defense, on the heels of a 6-minute drive by their offense, looks to stand.
I think he's not very happy with McNeil not coming back to the ball. Downfield, he had Bolger wide open, but that's easy to say when you got people hanging all over you. So you got to give Air Force credit. Despite the shift in momentum, they got the home crowd back into it with the midfield kickoff return. They force a 3-and-out.
As fiery as it gets, Curtis Samuels. They tried to take him out of the game against Boise State in a game that was definitely over and put in Dax Crum. And he argued with the coaching staff saying, no, we need more work. We need to get this offense together in a game situation. And they look to have stepped it up today, trying to step it back up one more time. The Falcons, after their defense stands, it'll be Falcon ball on the 20 to see if they can take the lead for the first time today. 14-14, 10:06 left to play here in Laramie. Back on the high plains. Western Thunder marching band, little Lady Gaga jamming over there, and well, trying to get down and dirty. This defense, a great big series, both for the Falcon-O, who seems to have found their groove here in the second half, and a bounty hunter defense that needs to get off the field. Here's the option. And Jefferson, not what you wanted if you're a poke on first down. Harris brings him down, but not until Jefferson gains about 7.
Followed a nice block by Demuth, the tight end. He took Hendricks out of the picture, enabling him to get those additional yards.
Here's 2, picking and choosing and getting outside, and we'll move the chains. It's Muhammad on the stop, and 2's going to ask for a little bit of help. And earlier in the game, it's been a while since we've seen the junior Brian Hendricks, who had 12 tackles at halftime and then looked early in the second half to lead the game with what appeared to be a shoulder stinger. He's back out there, and his defense needs him. They need a big play. Get the ball back in the hands of their offense. Here's the pitch to Clark. Clark gets outside. Trying to drag him down is Gibson, but he'll just be carried along for the ride for about 8 more yards, and the chains will move one more time.
If Gibson doesn't come off the block, Clark is going to get an awful lot of yards. But Gibson able to just catch him by the shirt, by the back of the shirt. Still, it's another first down for the Falcons.
And another Remax 1st and 10 line. Sign you want, agent you need. Two wings are Warzika and Asher Clark. And a little bit early, Nathan Walker, who scored the touchdown to tie it at 14.
False start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And it's Darden for the second time today. And again, with the sloppiness, it's first down and 15. The 7th penalty of the afternoon for the Falcons. A little bit cleaner ball and taking care of the football. That's how the Wyoming Cowboys made it to a bowl last year. Quarterback draw. Here comes Jefferson. He's stopped after a gain of 4. Guess who? Brian Hendricks.
But Muhammad was also there in kind of a spy situation, number 23, spying him along with, as you pointed out, Hendricks.
Brian had more wrestling offers than football coming out of high school. Shoot. Talk about a 2-sport athlete. That may be a tough one to double up on. They've got a new wrestling program here. Coach Brands came from Oklahoma State, a great wrestling program in its own right. Here to the high plains. There's the pitch. They come back this way. Warzika dives forward about 3 yards shy of the first down, so it will be a 3rd down and about 3. And
that's a nice cut by Warzika because he really didn't have much of a gap to go into. The running lane wasn't what it should have been, but number 15 is able to knife through and get enough yardage now that it's a 3rd and short for the Falcons.
Here's 2. He stood up before he can get the first down. The barrel man likes it.
Well, it's 4th down and less than 1. I guess the punting team will come out. Oh, wait, no?
Watch the push up front.
And there's Purcell again. Look at that. You don't give Purcell credit because he's shoving the guard out of the way, forced the trip.
Refusing to go down, gets the first down, and then a couple more. Does Jared too. Big 4th and 1 conversion.
James, it's interesting on that play by 2. You know, he's used to being a fullback, which is, watch, he goes head straight down. Now what, if he just cuts to the left, look at this. If he can cut to the outside, you know, he's going to have some big yards, but he said, forget it. I'm going between the tackles and getting the first down.
Somebody get that man some 2-sided carpet tape, and he may have slipped out of the tackle anyway. A hold of his jersey, one of those Wyoming defenders.
And by the way, with that carry, Jared too now goes over the century mark. 19 carries for 101 yards.
That's a high on the season for 2. Who had a season high 21 carries, 93 yards rushing in Norman last weekend. Here's Clark. Asher dances his way to another first down inside the 30 as we near the 6-minute mark left in this football game. A 12-yard pickup.
You saw Keith Lewis, a linebacker for Wyoming, just throw up his hands. They have so many variations, James, so many different things that they can do to you. In this case, this is a play they hadn't done that play all game long. Just a straight dive to Asher Clark. The reads are confusing for the defense now, and now they're back on their heels.
Nathan Walker lunging forward, and this offense, just as it did the first 3 weeks of this football season, the leading rushing team in the nation is really starting to click and look like a well-oiled machine here in the second half in Laramie today. 334 rushing yards, averaging 399 coming in.
And the reason I circle that entire defensive team, James, is you can see the body language. Back on their heels, they're a little bit uncertain. They don't know what to do. Air Force is attacking them, not huddling, going right after it.
Again, the dive. 2. It's about 3. Ben Durbin, the sophomore from Iowa, stands him up. Well, with that, they're back in the Fleer red zone. Extraordinary vision, Fleer. 3rd down and 3. Two, first down, couple more, cross the 10. Finally spun down, but it'll be a first down and goal for the Falcon offense.
Again, the offensive line for Air Force is starting to wear out Wyoming. Watch the left of the side and look at the pressure and look at the push. You know, it's interesting that 2 doesn't get touched until he's about 4 yards downfield, which is very strange for a fullback. That shows the dominance of the offensive line for Air Force. In this case, prominently, Kors and Hester.
This time they go to Walker, and Napton is hanging on. Defensive end in this new look 4-3.
James, a concern for Wyoming also has to be, given you're not only trying to hold Air Force out of the end zone, but now we're under 4 minutes in the game. Time is running out on the Cowboys.
Walker stays in. Right behind Jefferson. Jefferson back to pass and tucks it and goes. Touchdown, Air Force. Falcons take the lead
6 yards.
for the first time today, and it's 20-14.
And what a great fake by Jefferson. Take a look at Jefferson. When he fades back, it looks like he's throwing the fade. Watch him. Watch the block by the fullback coming out. Bam! That's just a tremendous job. And look at the gap that Jefferson has to go into the end zone. Pretty excited. The fullbacks have just been outstanding today. Walker both running and blocking, enabling Jefferson to go in for the score.
For the point after touchdown.
Good snap this time, and it's blocked. Oh! Marcel Gibson, who left the game with an injury on that drive, lays out, and a great big block extra point. The Falcons, instead of 7, just lead by 6 with 3:41 remaining in the ballgame. College Football on the Mountain has been brought to you by Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge, grab life. By Jeep, the most award-winning brand of 4x4s ever. Check out the entire lineup at Jeep.com. By The Office Shop, providing the best office equipment and the best service to Wyoming businesses for the past 40 years. By Lockheed Martin, we never forget who we're working for. And by Fleer, extraordinary vision. What a gorgeous day here on the high plains of Laramie, Wyoming, as we welcome you back to War Memorial Stadium, where the Falcons have just taken their first lead of the day. A touchdown run by Tim Jefferson, the junior quarterback, but unable to convert on the extra point. So with 3:41, it's a 6-point lead. Soderberg has the ball blow off the tee, will reset it and kick it away.
You know, it's interesting here. This is unfortunate for Wyoming. Back to return is Zach Bolger. Remember on that last kickoff, it was Ghali Muhammad who had a nice return to midfield. He must either be fatigued or hurt because of being on the defensive field. And while Bolger is certainly a competent player, I don't think he's the returner that Muhammad is. And this is certainly something that they want here, is to have a great return.
And here comes Bolger. Puts his head down and runs right into the pack. And Todd, there's an example in talking to these Wyoming coaches. Bolger, a 4-4 guy, but you got to take it out onto the football field. And when you put your head down and don't have extraordinary vision like the folks at Fleer, you don't help your team out. And he's limping as he leaves the field.
Well, the hope is for Wyoming that that blocked extra point is going to mean something. Watch right here to the screen. Just going to come in completely untouched for some reason. Doesn't get touched is Gibson. He does a great job on the angle. Sometimes the angle is towards the kicker. In this case, Gibson takes a flat angle, is able to get the ball.
Last week in Norman, a missed field goal, a kickoff out of bounds, a squib kick, return back over the 50. No big returns. The complaints from the coaching staff of the Falcons, and more special teams woes today. Can the defense come up big? There's a nice stop, ball on the ground. Anthony Wright upends Studnicka. Whistle blows, though, and a short gain, and 2nd down and 8 coming up.
Well, you're always seeing the tacklers go low, and in this case, Wright knows that he's outweighed by 60-some pounds, so he's got to go low. You know, you got to be, if you're Studnicka, you got to be prepared for that. You got to have a feel for it, and the clock is winding down for Wyoming. Carter Samuels needs to throw the ball downfield.
Play action pass. Carter Samuels looks to run, and then he finds David Leonard. Ball is popped loose. Looked to be a big gainer, and it is a Falcon football. The hard hit ends up in the hands of an Air Force Falcon. And a big play for the Pokes turns right over into the hands of the Falcons.
And Leonard just has to be sick. Had only caught one ball up to this point. Now watch the helmet. The helmet is right on the football. Take a look at where that lands, right on the football. I mean, how can you do that? Rembert is able to do that. Put his helmet right on the football. The ball comes loose. Air Force is able to recover. I think it was Lindsey who was able to come up with it.
John Davis, I think, got it.
Excuse me, John Davis. Well, John Davis and Lindsey were both holding it as they got up. So either way, it's Air Force football. And you just have to be sick if you're Wyoming. You finally get the ball downfield, intermediate out to midfield. You've got a shot, but instead now, Air Force, opportunistic as always. You have to say forces that turnover, James.
Well, and Rembert, who had a concussion last year and injured his neck, was carted off wearing a neck brace in week 1 this year, puts his hat, as you mentioned, right on the pigskin.
Well, here's something that has to be learned from you young people that are watching football. Leonard is 6'4", 215. Reggie Rembert is 5'7" and about 175. So I'm going to cliche the heck out of this by telling you it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. And Reggie Rembert, as you pointed out, you know, the concussion, the neck thing earlier in the season, everybody thought, you know what, he's got to be out a couple of games. No. The young man from Texas is a tough, tough hombre.
It's a catch and a fumble and a recovery by the defense. First down. Ruling is confirmed.
Plain and simple, and not what the Pokes want to hear. Hanging his head on the sidelines, Leonard looked to have the big play, and as you see our score bug in the corner of your screen, the 3 yellow dots, of course, represent 3 timeouts remaining for both of these teams. Now, Wyoming fans starting to pour out because what they've seen from this Air Force offense in the second half, the Pokes haven't been able to stop. They've got to find a way to stop 2 in the Falcons here, and that'll be a good start. Ghali Muhammad underneath Jared 2.
I don't know that Air Force wants to take too many chances here, just to want to hand off and possibly on third down run an option. But again, Coach Calhoun is creative enough to find something here in that vast repertoire, which is the Air Force offense. So hopefully, at least for them, get a first down.
Well, a timeout called by Wyoming, and we'll take this opportunity to give you our Steel Man of the Game, brought to you by Steel. Find the full line of dependable Steel outdoor power equipment, see your local servicing Steel dealer, or visit steeldealers.com. The man of steel all season long has been Tim Jefferson. Well, he's adding another phase to his game. Now the perfect quick kick of 46 yards to pin the Wyoming offense earlier in the game, firing the ball down the field and, of course, using his wheels, scoring a touchdown in this ball game as well on the ground. Jared 2 powering forward. Dave Christensen over there quickly with the timeout as the clock goes to 2:42. And a third down. And about 4 coming up. Muhammad and Mertens on the stop.
James, one play that I haven't seen from Air Force that used to be a staple of the offense is the one where they lead with the fullback, the halfback follows, and the quarterback goes behind. You know, just kind of like the all-man sweep. I'll be interested here on third down if they don't do something akin to that and make sure the ball is in number 7's hands.
Actually, they'll give him a spot of a little bit shorter than I thought, so it's a third down and 6. One timeout now remaining for the Cowboys. You got one more first down in your bag of tricks. Air Force Falcons. 6 yards to put this game away. 2 tries to get outside. He leans forward. Jared 2 close to a first down pickup.
Well, this is going to be interesting because he is going to be a little bit short. It's going to be about a half yard. And so 4th down and about 1. We know that Coach Calhoun is just absolutely adverse to. Oh, okay, never mind.
Hey, now listen. This is a new look. Remember, we talked about it. This is not the Air Force Falcon team of old. But then again,
partner, you got to know when I'm just being a little bit facetious. I would be the most surprised man in War Memorial Stadium if the punt team came out.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the play call.
No, I missed it going 4 on 4. No.
Okay.
What the heck? Jared 2 now just passed Alexander. He has 124 yards on the day. So no, that's not a big surprise.
.364 yards on the ground for the Falcons. 365 will put it away. They got it, first down. Jared 2 goes behind the right side of that offensive line. Hester, Wallerstein, and Chase Darden. And the chains will move And that clock will start to tick.
And you know what, as you mentioned Chase Darden, I was thinking to myself, that's got to be very satisfying. Remember, he had a couple of penalties early, some goofy things, very un-Air Force-like, going in motion. It's got to feel very good that the biggest play of the game, they run behind you.
Darden, the junior out of Plano East High School. Great program. Back in the Lone Star State. Again to the ground and hit. Whoa, careful there, Air Force. A pop like that can cause for some troubles holding on to the ball, but it's Jared, too, after all, who is in the sure thing with the hands, as you mentioned earlier. There's a look helmetless of the fullback from Park City, Utah.
25 carries on the day. Does he look gassed? He doesn't to me. A well-conditioned football team is Air Force.
Jared, some early mornings this past summer. Some flight school training down in Pueblo, Colorado. Every single morning, then back to lift weights at the Air Force Academy. The conditioning paying off for him and his Falcon football team.
2 carries for the Falcons.
Well, Todd, not the result that the Wyoming Cowboys wanted as they started Mountain West Conference play today, but still a little bit better the picture painted of what kind of football team and what kind of fight this football team has for head coach Dave Christensen.
Well, I think you're right, and there's many aspects of the game where they played extremely well. Obviously, they know that they can run the football, nearly 200 yards rushing. And of course, they know what number 5 can bring to the table. They didn't have too many penalties, but those turnovers were absolutely costly.
And now, Tim Jefferson and the Falcons will talk it over. Here's a 3rd down and 1, not out of the doghouse altogether yet. And we can peek ahead as Calhoun and the boys in blue cannot afford to until the clock's they all hit zeros, but the Navy midshipmen heading to the Front Range in Colorado Springs next weekend. A big contest. Great game last year, and it's been 7 times in a row that Navy has beaten their rival, the Air Force Falcons.
Well, there's certainly, I would say that this particular team, though, James, as they lose in overtime by a field goal. I know that, of course, Coach Calhoun doesn't want to say this, but I would say that this is the best team that they have had in his tenure. And at home in Colorado Springs, you'd have to like their chances.
Navy, though, a 2-1 start. Remember, back to week 1, it was the heartbreaker against Maryland. And maybe more importantly, sitting at home, a bye to prepare for the Falcons this week. So Dave Christensen, well, another loss. It's 3 in a row after the win to open the season, but still a step in the right direction and the good direction for the Cowboys. The Falcons in the second half too.
Well, the Falcons proved their mettle in the second half, and it just goes to show the mental toughness that Air Force has. They definitely didn't come with their A game. There are a number of people that were looking past them, but they're able to triumph, and the W is all that matters.
Thanks to Stats for our specialized statistical information today. Second game coming at you today of the triple header. The Wolfpack of Nevada heads to BYU to take on the Cougars at 4. For Andrea Lloyd and Todd Christensen, I'm James Bates. We're going to send it to Ram Post Game Live starting now. This has been a production of The Mountain. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast from the High Plains. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.